Of course. Here's a 1,600-word continuous emotional article, no headings, no breaks, just story narration crafted for your YouTube story. It was just past midnight when James pulled his old pickup truck into the gas station. His little daughter, Emma, was fast asleep in the backseat, her head resting against a stuffed bunny that had seen better days. James worked double shifts as a mechanic, doing whatever he could to make ends meet after his wife passed away 3 years ago. Life wasn't easy, but every time he looked at Emma's face, he knew he had to keep going. He didn't complain, he didn't ask for help, and he definitely didn't let people see the struggles he carried inside. To the world, he was just another tired single dad filling up his gas tank. But that night, something unusual caught his eye. As he stepped out of the truck and began pumping gas, James noticed a young woman sitting on the curb near the edge of the station. She looked lost, her shoulders trembling as she wiped tears from her face. What struck him most was that she was clearly pregnant, maybe 7 or 8 months along, her arms wrapped protectively around her stomach as if she was holding the child inside together with sheer willpower. James hesitated for a moment. He had learned long ago that getting involved in other people's problems could sometimes make things worse. But something in her broken posture, the silent sobs shaking her body, made it impossible for him to just look away. He glanced at Emma, sleeping peacefully, and then walked over to the young woman. "Hey," he said softly, not wanting to startle her. "Are you all right?" The woman looked up, her eyes red and swollen. For a second, she seemed embarrassed to be seen crying by a stranger. She quickly shook her head, whispering, "I'm fine. Please, just, leave me alone." James didn't. He crouched down, keeping his tone gentle. "Look, I don't mean to intrude, but it's not safe sitting out here like this, especially this late at night. Do you need a ride somewhere? Or maybe I can call someone for you." Her lips trembled. "There's no one to call. No one at all." She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking harder. James felt a tug in his chest. He recognized that kind of hopelessness, the kind that came from feeling utterly alone in the world. "Okay," he said carefully, "then maybe you just need someone to listen. I've been in that place too, where it feels like everything's falling apart and you don't know where to turn. I don't know what you're going through, but I know it's not good for you or the baby to be out here in the cold." The woman glanced at him again, studying his face as if trying to judge whether he was sincere. Something about his tired eyes and gentle voice seemed to disarm her. After a long pause, she whispered, "My name is Clara." James smiled faintly. "Nice to meet you, Clara. I'm James. And that little one sleeping in the truck is my daughter, Emma. She's my whole world." Clara's gaze softened when she looked at the truck window where Emma's small figure was curled up. "She's lucky," Clara murmured, almost to herself. "She has someone who cares." The words hit James like a quiet revelation. Whoever Clara was, she clearly didn't feel cared for. He didn't press her, but instead offered, "Do you want to sit in the truck? It's warmer. I've got some coffee in a thermos too, it's not fancy, but it's something." For the first time that night, Clara allowed herself a small nod. She followed him to the truck, sliding carefully into the passenger seat. James poured her a cup of coffee and handed it over. She held it with both hands, staring down at the steam as if trying to draw strength from its warmth. They sat in silence for a while before Clara finally spoke. "I thought I had everything figured out. A good life, security, people I trusted. But tonight, I realized I have no one. Not even the father of this baby wants anything to do with us. I've spent years helping others build their dreams, and when I needed someone to stand by me, everyone disappeared." Her voice cracked, but she held back more tears. James listened without judgment. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I know words don't fix much, but you're not as alone as you think. Sometimes help comes from the last place you'd expect." She looked at him with surprise, as if wondering why a complete stranger would care at all. What James didn't know was that Clara wasn't just any young woman down on her luck. She was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, a woman who had been admired by thousands for her strength, determination, and brilliance. But none of that mattered tonight. Tonight, she wasn't a powerful businesswoman. She was just a scared, heartbroken, pregnant girl who felt abandoned. Over the next hour, they talked. Clara slowly opened up about her fears, raising a child alone, losing the people she thought were her family, and the crushing loneliness that came with it. James shared pieces of his own story, how he had lost his wife, how he struggled every day to balance work and raising Emma, and how he often felt like he wasn't enough. They both realized that behind the walls they carried, their struggles were not so different. When Clara finally leaned back, exhausted but calmer, James asked, "Do you have somewhere safe to go tonight?" She shook her head. "I left my place. I couldn't stay there anymore." James hesitated. He didn't know her well, but something told him she needed help more than she needed space. "Look, I don't have much," he admitted. "But you're welcome to stay at my place tonight. It's small, but Emma's got a bunk bed. She won't mind sharing with you. At least you'll be warm, and I can make some breakfast in the morning." Clara blinked, stunned by the offer. In her world of contracts, deals, and people with polished smiles but selfish intentions, genuine kindness was rare. "Why are you helping me?" she whispered. James looked at her, his voice steady. "Because I know what it's like to need help and not find it. And because one day, my daughter's going to grow up. If she ever found herself in trouble, I'd pray someone would be kind to her." "That's reason enough." Clara swallowed hard, emotion tightening her throat. She simply nodded, unable to find words. That night, in James's modest home, Clara felt something she hadn't felt in years: safety. Emma instantly warmed to her, offering her stuffed bunny to keep by her side on the bunk bed. Clara smiled for the first time in weeks as Emma whispered, "Don't cry, lady. My daddy makes the best pancakes in the morning." And she was right. James made pancakes that smelled like hope. Over the weeks that followed, Clara and James's lives became unexpectedly intertwined. What started as a one-night act of kindness turned into a steady friendship. Clara joined James and Emma for dinners, helped Emma with homework, and sometimes even accompanied James to the garage, curious about his work. In return, Clara shared laughter, stories, and a gentle presence that filled the empty spaces in their lives. James still didn't know who Clara really was. To him, she was just Clara, the woman who had stumbled into his life at a gas station. And Clara didn't tell him. For once, she wanted someone to see her not as a CEO, not as a millionaire, but simply as a human being. But life has a way of revealing truths. One afternoon, James was fixing a car when a customer recognized Clara, shocked to see her in greasy overalls and laughing with Emma. "Isn't that Clara Whitmore, the CEO of Whitmore Enterprises?" he asked, wide-eyed. James froze. He turned to Clara, who looked pale and caught. That evening, Clara finally confessed everything. She told James who she really was, the company she had built, the wealth she had, and the reasons she had hidden it. She expected James to be angry, to feel betrayed. Instead, he simply listened. Then he said, "Money or not, it doesn't change who you are to me. You're Clara, the woman Emma adores, the one who's been honest about her fears, the one who showed up when we needed a friend as much as you did." Clara's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they weren't from sorrow, they were from relief. For the first time, someone saw her without the labels, without the power, without the mask. Months later, Clara gave birth to a healthy baby girl. James was by her side, holding her hand, while Emma proudly declared herself the baby's big sister. Slowly, what had started as chance became family. Clara used her resources to help James expand his small garage, turning it into a thriving business. And James gave Clara something no amount of money could buy: a home filled with love, acceptance, and belonging. Together, they learned that sometimes the people who change your life forever appear in the unlikeliest of places. A gas station, a cold night, a stranger's kindness. And from that night on, James, Emma, Clara, and the new baby walked forward, not as broken souls, but as a family stitched together by grace, compassion, and love. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories don't start in boardrooms or fairy tales. They start with a single act of kindness in the most ordinary of places. This is 1,600 words crafted as a full narrative article without headings for your YouTube channel storytelling style. Do you want me to make it even more cinematic and descriptive like a movie script with emotional camera angles and sensory detail, or keep it in this smooth novel-style narration?